We're back live into the unknown, Byron Bay Live, Friday nights, and I'm joined in the studio with me is Brent McKee. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
It's good to have you in here. Brent's the animation director for the Woonungu Awara at SensiLabs. Can you tell us about exactly what Woonungu Awara is?
Woonungu Awara is it's a program for preserving Indigenous languages, songs, stories, poems. So we use animation to kind of and go out and we talk to elders and get stories, and then we animate them and make them look pretty for the kids and adults, and use that as a tool for kind of preserving languages that are currently endangered.
It's a great thing to be doing, because preserving heritage like that is really important, because it's going to get lost otherwise. But whose idea was it to turn it to make it into 3D stories?
Our project director, John Bradley, has been working with the Anua people in Northern Australia for almost 45 years now. So he started, he sat there with the old people who were, back in those days, the young people, got all these stories. He is an incredible drawer, and had the original idea was to make kind of graphic novels of these and to get them out there. But part of the problem with the novels was it required reading, which these are like oral traditions. And so as soon as you kind of put an oral tradition on paper, you've destroyed an oral tradition.
Yeah, that's right.
So the important thing is keeping it an oral tradition, which means that we have to record them. And then having visuals, I mean, animation's perfect for it. Because if you've ever heard or watched a Dreamtime story, man, they're out there. So animation's perfect because we can do things that you couldn't do with film or.
We'll have a look at one in a second. So what's the process? You go out into the communities and sit down and listen to their stories and record them?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing we do is to just get to know the community and the storytellers. So we'll go out, we'll spend a few days, they'll take us out on country, we'll see places, they'll tell stories, build a relationship. Then we kind of come back and we draw and we go through the story and turn it into a script format, ready for kind of the animation format. And then we'll go back and show them what we've got. Then we'll come back and sit on the computer for hours again, and then we'll go back. And so every step of the process, we make sure that they're happy with what we've done.
Right. So there's a lot of to and fro with the community.
Huge amount. Yeah.
And how do they receive it? Do they love it?
Oh, totally. So the first few that we did, we went. I think it was 2011. I went. And then I went back in 2014, and they're still just on repeat on the TVs in every house. It's like, it's so cool. So we're just kind of keeping up with demand now. It's just like...
So there's a much bigger demand.
Yeah, totally.
And has anyone internationally done... Is this a thing that happens elsewhere?
No, the only other kind of example I've seen has come out of Canada, which has a kind of similar history of colonization to Australia, but... I mean, it would be awesome to take this internationally, because there's Indigenous communities everywhere that would have stories that, would work.
I think we should have a bit of a look at one. Kev, you got one ready to go? Let's have a bit of a look at one and see, and we'll come back and have a chat.
Yagi, Wanganjigo, Yangingana, Mirinuk. Jubakaga.
Nabun winggu nadungan.
Nangamanu.
Winorup malimun. Mangi maladon.
Karakuruk batarapatot. Mangi.
Mangi. Mangi.
Mangi. What are we?
What are we?
What are we?
What are we?
What are we? Nabuk karakaruk. Nabuk jumanjingan.
What are we? Tarabatot. Narbak Jilban Najinkan. Mangi.
Mangi.
What are we? What are we?
What are we?
Yagi. Kalkip Kalbora.
Winanu bird.
Kalkip Kal. Kanguk. Tarakak Wang. Turak Kalkik. Nuri Nuri.
work.
Thanks.
Yeah. It looks like it appears quite character driven, but how important is the actual landscape and the country in these things?
It depends where the story is. Some of them, the landscape is like the main protagonist of the story. So the places that they go is more important than what's going on there. Like, but yeah, the stories are always so varied. But,
Sure.
So what we do is like part of the reason we always try and go out is to see the landscape.
Yeah.
Because like Australia is so huge and there's so many different types of landscape, but they're so important to that place
Yeah.
that the story is told. So
Yeah, because country's a big part of the story, isn't
yeah,
it?
so that clip was from Central Victoria, which you got that really you can feel the cold
Yeah.
in that, and compare that to some of the Northern Territory stuff we've done, which you can you start sweating just watching it. It's like,
So it's a bit of a dream job. How did
Yeah.
you get into animation to begin with?
oh, I don't even know. Like I was doing web design at uni, and I had a few electives left over that I hadn't finished. And so I was like, okay, well, so I did one audio engineering subject and an animation subject, and it was like, this was my 4th year, and I was like, wow, animation's way better. I'm doing that. So I just, once I graduated, I just kept learning and kept doing it and got a few small gigs, and, eventually gave up bartending as a job and
And
went
you've been doing
animating
this
full time
ever since.
So more than a decade now. So,
Wow, what a
yeah.
dream gig, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like I've had a few jobs in between, but this was the first job that I got, and then I'm still going now with it. So
And is it ongoing? Is it you just, as you said, it
we
can't
just
keep up
keep
demand?
getting funding. We run out of funding, apply for more.
Right.
We just keep making them until we can't. So yeah.
Excellent. And now tell us about the Angkor project that you worked on. What happened there? So they came to Monash University and wanted.
Well, no, the Angkor project started a bit differently. So one of my lecturers, who is now just one of my best friends, at the time was kind of doing his PhD. And his dad is a famous historian, specifically on Cambodian history. And he was doing animation, and he was like, well, he didn't really know what to do, so he took that as his topic. And then the more research he did, he just found this fascinating kind of history and these amazing temples. And I was like, well, no one knows what this society actually looked like as a functioning society. So let's try and use animation as a way to visualize that.
Because there's very little written history.
Yeah, there's one first-person source, which is
One.
from a Chinese emissary who part of his job is to convince the emperor that no one's better than China, back in the 1400s. So, how much we can rely on him or anything like that. So it's just like, we'll just see what we can do. And so there's just historians and archaeologists all over kind of giving their 2 cents, and then we visualize these things using animation, and then a year later they'll all come together and say, no, wrong, yes, that's good, and then we'll start again from scratch. And
Okay.
yeah, so it's...
And so tell us what happened because you actually went over there, didn't you, to Cambodia?
Yeah.
And what happened when you got there?
we had this big exhibition planned at the National Museum, which we'd been working on for almost 2 years. And then we get there, well, we had to bring 3 computers with us to power this. This was like this huge virtual reality simulation. You put the goggles on and you can see, like, walk around the whole kind of temple and all this stuff. And then we get there, we're setting these things up, and the museum director's like, government's pulled the pin. The exhibition's cancelled. It's like, oh, okay.
They didn't tell you before you left,
No.
just when you got there.
No,
And
it
you-
just happened
and you-
overnight.
They didn't want to see it at all?
No, they didn't even want us to bring it in and show them. It wasn't. We felt so bad for the museum director because he organised it. He really wanted us to do it, and he's just like, hands are tied. I can't. It's
What a
pretty
shame.
disappointing. Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with all that stuff? Where can people
Well,
look at it now? Is it?
At the moment, there's a few things online. If you've got access to some VR goggles, you can watch it.
So you can
But
actually
it's,
tour around
a
Angkor
little
and-
small parts of it,
Okay.
yeah. Because to web broadcast this thing is, I mean, this thing's, you know, required 3 supercomputers to.
So you can actually tour around, and it's very much an indicative of what it would have been like.
Yeah, as close as we can tell
Okay.
at the moment. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have a bit of a look, Kev. Can we play a couple of those clips? Insane work. Really detailed stuff there.
Thanks. Imagine the people who actually built it.
Yeah. My God. My God.
Yeah.
How long were they around for? Was that culture there?
So almost 600 years.
600 years.
Yeah.
And then when was it? It was only recently discovered, wasn't it? Fairly recently.
Yeah.
It
So,
was kind of lost.
well, there was maybe 200 or 300 years where it was largely abandoned,
Uh-huh.
and the French arrived in their funny safari suits and kind of were told about these, you know, stone temples, and they were all like, oh, you know, how good could they be? And then they got there and they're like, whoa.
Pretty good.
So they actually kickstarted the whole effort to clear out the jungle and refine these places. And still to this day, the expedition of the Far East, or however you say it in French, is still there,
Right.
still doing it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, like, say a short little clip like that 30 seconds
Mhm.
that we saw or something like that, how many hours of animation would you spend on that?
Hours, I don't know. We will roughly work at about a month a minute.
Month, a minute.
Yeah, and that's with a team of, there's only 3 or 4 of us
Uh-huh.
at any one time.
Okay.
So,
And that's
Yeah.
audio as well? Is that audio as well?
yeah, that's audio as well.
Month, a minute.
Yeah,
Jeez, okay.
yeah.
So if someone comes to you for an hour-long thing, you've got years of work ahead of you,
Years.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, man, it's been a real honour to have you in here and to look at some of your work. Thanks
Thanks.
so much for
It's my
coming
pleasure.
in. We're going to go to the next video of the week, I think. Nanocat's table. We got Nanocat's table. Okay. Talk about it. All right, Nanocat's table. Thanks, Brent.